Hello and welcome back to Factory Town. In our last episode we started building the OmniTemple, and in fact it is continuing to be built here. We're waiting on reinforced planks still, which was our kind of issue last time, but that's because reinforced planks got kind of messed up out there, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get them all back in here. But here they come. And it's in the process of also starving out our wards from getting made, but that's all right. We'll get them back. No worries. No worries. Are you Omni Stones? Okay, we need to find the train carrying the mana bricks here. It's probably coming in. And we also started putting down some magic rails to try and increase the travel rate around the ring here in town, at least, which just by fact of not having trains in the loop as long as they were before, and also this whole, when the train enters or leaves, it alternates between the trains coming to the intersection. Hopefully that means that we'll have less traffic issues here in town, and then we can support all the trains we need to support here in town without adding a second loop. But if we need to add the second loop, we'll add the second loop. But the more important thing is, today as I record this, which is Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. A couple of days ago, we had talked about the new update that was coming, that was going to change the way that resources spawned to use a more, I would say actually a more standardized version of resource spawn that a lot of other games use, some sort of a heat map or of a wave function calculation to determine where the resources spawn, and that update released today as I record this. Now, some of the changes in the update don't apply to us, but some of them do, and I'm just going to talk through this while the game runs, because one thing we're looking for is more magic rails, which we actually have 100 now, so we could build some of that, and then we're obviously waiting for this OmniTemple construction to complete, so it's going to be a little bit of time before that happens. But I want to kind of go through these patch notes a little bit here, and not the patch notes, but the description that's on Steam, and like the news post that Steam has whenever a developer releases something, and just kind of talk about what applies to this series and what's going to apply to a future series that we might do, and perhaps even the campaign maps, but that's a little more of a gray area. During that premiere chat, though, a few days ago, we were talking about how, at least in the beta version that was on Steam at the time, the resource generation wasn't working well. Things like grain wasn't spawning in the initial 4 zones that you start every game with, things like that. And the developer implies in these notes that they have been, that may have been fixed, but until I try it, I won't know, and I haven't tried starting a new game yet here. Actually, we're getting really close on the construction here. Awesome. Okay, so anyways, back to the patch notes here. And as I read these, I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, if I scroll my mouse, it's going to scroll the zoom on the game, but that's okay. So the first and most primary change here, of course, as I just mentioned, is that the resources are going to spawn in more clumps that are more logically separated and organized, so that you don't have this like massive amounts of everything piled on top of each other. Like, you know, there's tomatoes and sugar and grain all piled into this clump here that was used to be a big circle that we edited some of, and like this big huge patch of carrots here next to coal and iron. Like, doesn't make any logical sense. So the developer programmed in some logic to the way that the resources spawn, and I think that includes even some biome affinity too, but that's a little bit unclear. But it is a complete rewrite of the algorithm, which is nice. And then he also addressed to some extent the fact that we can put any resource on anywhere on the map we want to, and it doesn't really matter. And that actually does apply to this game, because that is what's now called affinity. And so we can go to an existing farm tile here, and at least this is for stuff that's farmed. I don't know if it applies to trees or not, but it at least applies to stuff that's farmed. So now if we mouse over a farm tile, I'm going to try to find one that might be nearer to its 100% efficiency here. Can we get so lucky? No, but I can actually use that one. Well, maybe. I can actually use that one potentially next year to talk about this. So, in the past, we calculated out the herbs, for example, as having a regrow of around 5 items every 120 seconds, which was boosted with water and fertilizer to adding 100% speed to each one of those. So it ended up being 5 items per farm tile, 5 herbs specifically, since that's one I'm clicked on. 5 herbs per farm tile every 40 seconds, which averages 0.125 herbs per second per farm tile. And that worked out well. We did that math and that worked out well. But the developer has added this concept of affinity now. So now when you put down a farm tile and you plant something on it, that tile may or may not have affinity to the item that you're planning on planting. Like this tile here has no affinity. So you have to be careful where you plant items, because now they will not necessarily grow what you want them to, where you want them to grow it. But there are modifiers or qualifiers in the game for that. So there's a few things that changed with this affinity and yield concept. So now the herbs all grow at the same rate, no matter what's included here, except for earth boosting. Earth boosting still does increase the speed, but as far as base growth time, the only modifier to growth time is the earth boost. Water and fertilizer now increase crop... Well, okay, the tooltip's wrong. They no longer increase crop growth speed, as the tooltip says. Instead, they increase the yield based on the affinity. So now we have this nice yield calculation, which I haven't broken down yet in my own brain, but I may do it live here on in recording. So the default yield for herbs now is 4 herbs per tile, and again that long growth time, and then we're going to add 100% because it's growing on a farm tile. So now that's 8. Then we're going to add 50% each for water and fertilizer. So now we're up to 16 herbs per tile for that long growth time that I haven't figured out how long it is yet. It might be the 120 seconds still, I don't know. And then the affinity, which is now our new attribute here. This tile has 100% affinity for herbs. And so therefore we get a 4x multiplier on the 16, which doesn't work out to be the right math. It's only 12 times 4. 4 plus 100%. 4 plus 200% is... Oh, it is 12. Sorry. I did the math wrong the first time in my head. Okay, so 4 plus 100% is 8, plus 50% is 10, plus 50% is 12, times 4 is 48. So every herb tile, every one of these herb tiles is going to yield 48 herbs every time it regrows. So affinity is interesting, and I actually like how the developer implemented it, because I was scared when I read this the first time. When I read about this in the previous post, it sounded like the affinity was going to be like if you plant something where it's not supposed to be planted, you're screwed. Like it won't grow there, or it'll be really, really poor growth. And that's true to an extent. If I once again attempt to plant something here where there is nothing growing nearby, the affinity is for nothing. But if I plant an herb on this tile, as it grows and is harvested and grows and is harvested, the affinity in that tile will increase. So I can improve my yield by continuing to plant and harvest something on a specific tile on the map. So that's really good, because I was afraid that we would never be able to plant these custom farms again, but we can. We just have to suffer through the low yield for a certain number of cycles, and he doesn't say how many cycles it is, but a certain number of cycles to gain the affinity on that tile. So I think that's a good balance and a good way to set this up. The other thing with affinity is a naturally spawned patch and a few tiles around it. Would, should, may, apparently not, Should. Maybe on a new map it will, but maybe not on this old map it won't. The natural patches... Actually, let's do one more test here. Here. Yeah, okay, the natural patches have 100% affinity for what's already growing there. And I think that's also what's counted here where these herbs are. But the also a few tiles around a natural patch should also have affinity. And we'll have to see if that holds true in a new map or not sometime in the future. However, if I were to plant or take out this piece of grain here on this corner, and I were to put a farm tile in here, this farm tile still has affinity for grain. Even though the grain's no longer there, this tile on the map, this whatever I'm going to call it, on the map, has affinity for grain. If I wanted to plant an herb here, I can. But it's going to have really poor growth time for anything but grain for X amount of cycles. Just like before, except it's worse. Because not only does the tile have to gain affinity for herbs, before it can do that, it has to lose affinity for grain. You can't gain one and lose the other at the same time. So if you're going to plant a field now in a different area, you need to plant it in a blank area where there is no affinity, not where you just deleted a bunch of other crops, because then you will not be able to grow that crop for at a decent multiplier for a very long time. Actually, let's take a look at this slightly here. Herbs, I have some over here I can plant. And so this tile right now, oh, it's actually yielding. I think this is broken. This is broken. Okay, don't tell the dev, but this is broken. This affinity isn't the way that it's described. This affinity is not being affected by the affinity correctly. It's taking any affinity as opposed to specific item affinity, and I'm reading that correctly. Let me read this here. If a tile has affinity for a different resource than what you planted, the affinity of the tile for the old item will decrease slightly each time the growth completes. Once it reaches 0, that old affinity is lost, and it begins adding affinity for the resource type being grown in that tile. So that that's pretty obvious to me that it's not doing what the developer intends. Now, when this gets to 100% growth time, will this affinity drop for the grain? I don't know. But there's obviously a bug here. So that takes care of affinity to above ground resources. Oh, so actually it might include the tree planters after all. Let's go look at, we had some trees over here. I'm going to leave that there and come back and check on it. We do have the same affinity here. And so if I put a tree planter down, I have no affinity here. And again, we should have the same kind of affinity for apple trees and pear trees. Specific to them, and presuming that it works the way that it's supposed to with the yield, which I don't think it is gonna either. Then as like the farm tiles, so there's that. So that does affect this game, and we also have the new world data panel. And if you remember the way this looked before, it wasn't anywhere near this good. I think you clicked it and it showed you a bunch of stuff that you kind of got lost in, and then you didn't want to use it anymore. Instead, now there's all these different categories, so we can look at production, what's currently producing and how it's being produced and things like that. I'm not sure what purple necessarily means. Maybe oversupply. I'd have to figure out what the colors each mean. But we can look at production. We can look at happiness, which is obviously here in town. That makes those stick, which is kind of nice. Instead of them being always there or popping up, we can just make them stick. That's F. Shortcut is F. For facts or factory town or something. Worker assignments tells you can see the worker overlay on every building instead of only seeing it when you mouse over or click. Storage, this should show us what's stored in each storage type container. Yes, it does. And crops was the one I had selected when we clicked on here because I clicked on it earlier before I started just to see what it looked like. We have trees, we have ore, we have fish, and we have tags, which is that's obviously not what I'm using for the train, but I don't know what that is anyway. Okay, so I'm not sure what tags are. Maybe there's something that I'm not using that I should be using. Or maybe it's... I remember seeing something about tags. Where did I see tags at? I don't know. Other than the tags that we're using for the train, for the logic. So that's the next piece, the rolled data panel. That's a nice enhancement. And there are new resources and new recipes, presuming that the new resources are available to be placed on this map, which they probably are. And the recipes then would obviously be usable as well, which means that it could mess with our, let's see, build, no, let's do farming. Plant, yes, we can. So we have dragon fruit, we have cactus fruit. We have, those might be the only 2 new ones, looks like. And I'm looking quickly, but I don't see any other ones down here either. So that there's new stuff there, and there's new recipes. Fruit juice and jam can add in are now broken down for each individual. So now it's each individual juice. It's berry juice or berry jam, which still counts in here in the general in the tavern as jam. But we have cactus jam now too. But they still count in the same category, but depending on which one you use, you get different coins for it. Which we were planning on using berries, which means you're only going to get 12 coins for it. So you kind of get different numbers of coins for that, which is interesting. I'm not that bothered though. And here we have exotic fruit, which is this new category. So I'm going to have to grow some of that and bring it in here because we also have just regular fruit here. And then juice is here, and again, it's different quantities for each category. Dragon punch being dragon fruit plus berry juice plus apple juice would give us a lot more coins, but I'm also not bothered by that. So I want to make sure that our juice kitchen is making juice still. It's making apple juice out of berries. I don't think that fits the logic here, game. Oh, because it's okay. That's fine. You can switch to this one though. And now you can make berry juice. It was just defaulted to that because of the backward compatibility. So we could make that that new juice, but I don't really see the point of it. The dragon punch, it just gives us more yellow coins. Not bothered. But the exotic fruit we're going to want to set up and bring in. So we'll have to think about that at some point in the near future. This one is still holding out okay. The general store is having problems with wood axes and pickaxes. So I know where the pickaxe problem is, I think. Still the reinforced planks probably issue. And then we're doing okay here except for the air ether, which, I mean, it's still okay, but not great. Okay. Hopefully that gets fixed as well. Or hopefully we can fix that as well. So I'm going to have to redo all the math on all the farms to figure out how many farm tiles we're going to need for each farm now that the yield has changed. If it's fewer and I don't need to remove them for space reasons, I'm just going to leave them alone. If it's more, then I'll have to try and figure out a way to wedge them in, which may include adding additional farms and breaking one farm into 2 kind of thing. Oh, I forgot about when we were talking about the resources. I forgot about the prospecting. So now when you prospect, you're supposed to not be able to prospect too far away from, but it looks like you still can. I don't know. You're supposed to not be able to prospect too far away from your place here, or the yield is lower. Okay, the yield is lower. These yield 80, and then these are out here on the edge of it is 20. So the yield's going to be lower the further you are from the center of a resource patch, it appears, which is interesting. But they increase the yield, or maybe it's probably from when they if it's underneath an above ground one, then it's 80 or something. But we do have affinity here as well as a default yield for the underground. Now this is the underground yield, not the above ground yield. Although it might be the above ground yield after the update too. I'm not sure. So there are also new buildings, specifically the tailor. The tailor takes away some of the clothing recipes, which we're doing out here someplace. Here? Maybe shoes, but maybe not shoes. Yes, including shoes. So shoes will still work. Shoes, shirts, warm cloaks, and coat Warm coats and cloaks will all still work here in an existing workshop, but if you're starting a new game, you'll need to use the tailor, which now has those 4 recipes. And I think they're all the same. It's just moving the recipes to this new building that has a neat new looking style here. It's kind of cool looking. It looks a little bit like the workshop, or like a house version of the workshop kind of thing. It reminds me a lot of the houses, the fully upgraded houses. And there's there was one other. Oh, the medicine hut, which is going to handle the recipes like remedies, fish oil, ointment, antidotes, health potions, and elixir, instead of those being handled at the enchanter in the kitchen. So that would change a huge amount of this. These here would now be the antidote here, ointment, fish oil, and remedy. I think those are all the ones I listed. Would now be at the new building, which we could change these all over. The medicine hut, and the enchanter no longer has the health potion and the elixir, and those are now also at the medicine hut. So all these buildings here, as well as these buildings here, these ones here, and these ones here could all be switched over to be the medicine hut. And so we should probably do that as well, in a sometime episode. I don't know which one. There are also some other visual improvements like transport lines. So now if we put down a worker, and we have that worker carry, well, this is probably not a great area to do this in, but if you have that worker carry a resource, worker can't mine that. Now we have, instead of being that weird string connecting them, now there's a arrow path. And if you remember, we learned that the workers do not go in straight lines. Or do not go directly there. They go in grid patterns to go to places. So this shows you the grid pattern that the worker is going to follow to get to a building. And then there is a yellow arc here that shows that path of travel if the worker were to carry that grain into that kitchen, for example. And I don't want you to do that. Take a look at this. Yeah, the yield. So the yield, or the affinity did go down, but it shouldn't have given us the affinity multiplier times 3.9. It should have been times 1 or whatever here. So that's interesting, an interesting bug that I'm not surprised that there's a bug, but that's one that I'm sure will get fixed pretty quickly. Let's see. Crops no longer auto plant unless they're on a farm or a farm tile. You can place now a crop without a farm tile as long as the terrain is valid. And a bunch of other balance changes and cleanups and a bunch of other changes that I don't think I need to highlight anymore. I read through them, but now I'm forgetting all of them. So hopefully this made some sense to you. And now that we've spent 20 minutes of the episode doing this, I think what I want to do is maybe look at that. Oh, this is done. Okay, so we can complete construction now. Let's do it. And that's our victory condition for this map, but that's not the end of the game for us. Let's take that. And now we got a bunch of new unlocks. We unlocked production speed. So we can boost 25% production, multiplicative production speed bonus to all worker-occupied production buildings. We can research this. OmniTemple speed, 25% production speed bonuses to OmniTemples, and then all the other temple speeds and shrine speeds, recharger speeds, Omni upgrade power, increases speed boost of each Omni upgrade that a building receives. Okay. And then pipe speeds for Omni pipes and mana pipes. We can increase crop yield via research. And the housing maximum can be increased. Oh, we can get more workers. Okay, so we can research a lot more stuff here. And I want to turn off, that is turned off. I want to disconnect this. And probably this as well. So Offerings made. What does that mean? I don't know what we offer. I mean, we could be offering these things, but I don't think that's how it works. Do we have any of this stuff at the school? We do. Okay, I thought so. We have to make sending offerings to the OmniTemple, and that gives us the ability to do these researches here at the school. So it's a good thing I didn't deconstruct all this because we need it. Although I may move all this again, but we can do all the level 1 researches, and then you get level 2, level 3, etc. beyond that. So that's definitely stuff we're going to want to do as time goes by, but I don't know what offerings we offer at the OmniTemple. And now that I know what we do with the stuff here, maybe I should have built this over here instead. And I assume we could probably still move it. Yeah, we can. You can still move everything. So we could always move it. I'm going to leave these rails here even though they're not connected for now. And I think I'm going to adjust these, or add these rails in. Okay, and then we need to do this one. And this one. And this one. And this one. And this one. Use up Pete's Wally. This one and that one. Okay, that should take care of that. Hopefully we don't have any trains that get stopped there because they can't make the turn they're supposed to make. And then we want to do this track, or this side as well here. There. Go down there and around the corner. Like that. Oh, I've got to fix the bypass too. I forgot to fix the bypass. This goes into the bypass, and I think I will upgrade the bypass as well. There we go. You turn down here. You turn... Thank you, autosave. Onto there. You turn here. I think that's it. Let's fix this bypass. I did that one. I just didn't do this one. We'd had a train getting stuck here if I wouldn't have thought about it. Alright, so that's done. And as needed, I can also upgrade magic rails elsewhere in town. So let's take a look at that reinforced plank potential issue / wood axe pickaxe issue. Let's see. We are no longer bringing in iron. Well, that's a problem. Ah, that's why. Okay, so we need to move this mine over here, which we needed to do anyway to pick up some more of these resources. So maybe there, and it's got a much better underground yield there anyway. So that's kind of nice. Let's do this. And then, oh wait, where's my, oh, there. H key. For the hotbars. And this goes out like this and into there. Alright, so we're going to continue mining the above ground resources here. And then we'll switch into the underground, which I have 24 available to me. Maybe I'll end up shifting it back a little bit more to get the 25. That's a nice large patch underground, so that's worth it to do if we can do it. And then this is all coal. Oh, the stone. Okay, the coal's out here. But I think we're fine on coal. So that should fix wood axes. Yeah, they're getting made again. And that's that 1:4 ratio there. Let's take a look at reinforced planks and pickaxes. Okay, reinforced planks are backed up. That means that we have not enough here to trade. Why are we not making... We just moved this last time. Oh, there's not enough. All right, we're going to have to prospect here, I think. And that may adjust the affinity for this. Yeah, see, we have a 50 yield there. Actually, it is all 50. And then we might also want to do... Not prospect, but mine shaft. To pick up like that one there. And we might end up having to do a little bit more prospecting around, like that. Those should be picked up, I think. Yeah, I think it's not highlighted because it's not a thing yet. But that should fixed that as well, and that's the problem with the pickaxes too. And we have a lot of reinforced planks. Those are getting picked up by the train, and those were getting sold at the OmniTemple, but now they're not. And because we disconnected that track, I probably need to also disable, was it the Omnistone train? What all do we have going in here? I don't know what collect bonus means either. Mana bricks are coming into town anyway. Elixirs are coming into town anyway. Or actually, those are the ones going out of town. Reinforced planks were coming into town anyway. So Omnistones was the one that I added in. And that's this train here. So I might want to retire this train so it's not just burning fuel. Maybe I should just find a lane to park it on and leave it for now. But I want to see what the what we need to offer to that station in order for, or to the Omni. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. In order for the Omni Temple to count as an offering. Let's do this like that, and put a sorter in here with Omnistone. And then you can just park there. For now. Okay. Parked. So I think these might be improving now that I've fixed the iron issues. Maybe. Maybe not. That might not be enough miners in that one. Yeah, let's add another miner here. Another worker here. But we are also doing very well on happiness. We're almost ready to jump another level at 2,000. So that's really good. And I think everything else is going to work fine because at least for all those building changes, recipe changes, the developer did leave the default recipe, default building in there for compatibility reasons. So we got to keep all of those. Like I mentioned, we could tear these all up. But then that's a lot of resources getting potentially deleted and needing to be fixed. And I don't know that I'm all that thrilled about doing that. So I may not do that for these, but obviously anything new we do would be done that way. I kind of wish now that we... Oh, no, wait, never mind. It's an elemental refinery, so that's a different thing here. I was going to say for those, but we didn't need it for those. So anything else we do... Obviously, we'll have to use the new buildings for those recipes, but I don't know that I'm all that thrilled about deleting a bunch of stuff. How is this doing? Air ether is still a problem. Why is air ether a problem? Because we're making it way the heck out here and only have... Nope, because we don't have any. Why? Also, apparently I never set these to be air stones, which... isn't a problem right now, but it could have become a problem at some point. But I see why we don't have any air ether, because we don't have any air stones. We need to figure that out. We mined them all, so now we need to deal with the underground ones. Mining layer. Yeah, they're way over here. Let's see if we can move this mine. Actually, we're going to have to delete it and add it back. Let's copy it. We can't. We can't. We have 15, but the ground is too uneven, so maybe we can do a little bit of terraforming here, not much, just a little. There-ish. Yep, and then, oh, I copied, so it's airstone, right. We can delete this one now, and that can come out, and I think we'll just come, oh, can we just go, like, right here? Why you not work? Oh, I paused the game, dummy. Okay. All right, so that's working again. Did they upgrade the graphics on those, or are they the same? They might be upgraded a little. They look kind of different, but I could just be misremembering too. All right, so if that's not going to be enough air stones, we'll have to do some prospecting. But at least now we can make those into air ethers and be much happier. I guess we should check elsewhere too. Yeah, this one is still mining the surface. This is still mining the surface. Fire was over here. All the chutes are still coming in, so they're still mining the surface. And water was right here. They're still mining the surface. So it was just the air, that one air patch that was broken. Let's see, what else might be broken? What else might be broken? Wards have come back, that's good. We need to do the exotic fruit, which I assume has to be grown out in the desert. Whoa, there's some lag. That's not good. And juice is broken now. Oh, I know why. I know why. Because somebody set all these filters. It's not here. It's here. Fluid pipe overlay. Okay, how about here? Yeah, that's what it is. No, let's do it this way. This needs to be berry juice. Yeah, that was me. That's on me. All right, that'll go. And then technically I should switch this to be that one. Kind of funny that they made apple juice the default conversion one. There. Not that this matters much because it's all in the same train anyway. But it's good to have things be right. Right? Right. And then I also need to change this one. And, oh dear God. Oh, this is on a pipe. Okay, good. Milk? No. Wait. Apple juice, okay. And you get to be berry juice. Okay, good. Hello, milk. Yeah, there's some lag that got introduced with this update too. So we'll get the exotic fruit coming in. We'll get that planted either in cactus fruit or dragon fruit. And bringing that in, that's a new category. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, there were 10 here, so we'll have to add that one in. I'm assuming they didn't take one out someplace. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 there. 1, 2, 3. Wait, we just did that one. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are always 8 there. They just expanded the jam to be each kind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so they added an additional category. So now the happiness should actually be able to go up a little bit further because it was capped at 5,000 before due to the number of categories. So I think this is going to be one of those episodes where it's mostly talky and fixy and not a whole lot of do-y. But I think in the next one we will, hopefully I'll have the math done on the new farm calculations, hopefully. And then we can work on setting up the rest of the stuff for the specialty goods store here, either the magic robes and magic cloaks or the jewelry. The jewelry is, of course, going to be an issue with the gold because we're going to have to do prospecting and it's not going to yield that greatly. So, but we'll figure that out as we can in the next episodes. So thank you all for joining me for this one, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.